Shabbat Shalom. It's good to see so many faces. I haven't been here since before Pesach. It's like, can't hear. Can you hear better now? Great. Today is the 20th day of the Omer, for those who are counting. And this is an awesome counter. So just to situate us, still no? Okay. The beginning of this Dvar Torah requires you have a shofar. And turned to page 3, where there's a small Far Side comic. It was first published by Gary Larson in December 1994. Volunteer to tell me, don't tell me what it means. What do you see? If you had to describe this image, how would you describe it? No, I don't want a judgment about it. I want you to tell me what you see. But thank you. It's not wrong that it's not accurate, but what do you see? Tell me what, if you were to tell this to somebody who couldn't see the picture, how would you describe it? An artist drawing a portrait. Who can give me more details? All right, I'm hearing octopus on the nose of the subject. Anybody want to give me more information? Specifically, 6th graders, I think, will be particularly good at this. One sec. Anybody under the age of B'nai Mitzvah want to tell me what they see? Marty, you're close. Give it a sec. What do you see, Zoe? A guy painting a lady. I'm just going to repeat so everyone can hear. It looks like, this is also a judgment, it looks like he's trying to make fun of her. What makes you say that, Zoe? He put something on half her face. Yeah. Did everybody hear what, can you just remind me your name? Did everybody hear what Mort Khan just said? I will. Mort noticed that it looks like, and maybe this is what Marty was going to say, there will be another opportunity for crowd participation. So I'm calling on you first. Mort noticed that it looks like there's something on the glasses of the artist. And so what the artist is depicting is what he sees on the lens, of his glasses. Beautiful. So does everybody now think they kind of get what Larson is doing in the comic? That what is on the glasses impacts how he sees the object. Object is a problematic word, but sees the woman who's sitting to be depicted. I first came across this image in a course at the Graduate School of Education with Bob Keegan, who is a professor of education and adult development. I did a little bit of Googling to see how other people interpret this. Apparently, Gary Larson uses flies a lot in his, are people here Larson fans? Okay, he uses flies a lot, and there's like a lot of fan fiction or fan attempt at giving rationales for what he's trying to say by utilizing flies in his comics, talking about the animal world and people and how close or distant are we from insects. That's not what Keegan was trying to say. Keegan was trying to say what Mort noted, which was that the way the artist saw was dramatically impacted by what was on his lens. And we have seen multiple artists painting this subject. We likely would not get the same image. Yeah? Unless there was an infestation of flies and everybody had this problem. In a world with issues of significant importance and very high stakes, each of us has to figure out how to understand and interpret what we are seeing. And my question this morning that we'll address through the Parsha of Tazria Mitzorah is, how can I hold my own understanding while making space for some other opinion. I think this has been my question for the last decade. How can I believe what I believe and make space to hear something that someone else says? I think we're all working on this. I mentioned when I introduced the Torah portion that this tzara'at stuff could get everywhere. Could be on a person's body, on their clothes, on their skin, on their hair, and even on the walls of their home. And it required an expert diagnosis from a priest to determine whether it was tzara'at or just a rash that would just go away. But as I tried to hint to when I introduced the Torah reading, the Torah offers no rationale for basic tzara'at. We didn't read this. It was a very long double parsha. We read only a chunk of it, and it still was a sizable task to learn. Thank you, Marcy, and thank you, Mark. In chapter 13, which we didn't read this morning, tzara'at is just described as a natural phenomenon. Adam ki hiya be'or b'saro se'ed o sapachat o baheret, when a person finds a skin rash. Doesn't offer any sort of explanation. But if you're somebody who ever went to Hebrew school as a kid, does anybody have an instinctive answer for why people get tzara'at? They did something bad. There is one specific sin it often gets attributed to being connected to. Sharon? Lashon hara, speaking bad about other people, because the classic example is Miriam speaking against her brother that we'll read in the book of Numbers. What happens? She gets tzara'at. So our rabbis are trying to figure out if there's a particular affliction, what must have been the crime? And they attribute it to other stories like Miriam getting tzara'at. It must be something about speaking evilly. Maybe. Interestingly, though, the Torah doesn't say that necessarily. We don't know why. And to amplify this question, when the Torah describes tzara'at that comes on a house, it specifically mentions God's involvement. This Mark read this morning. Ki tavo el eretz Kna'an asher ani noten lachem la'achuza v'natati tzara'at be'eretz achuzatchem. When you enter the land that I give you as a possession, I will inflict an eruptive plague upon your houses. Did anybody read the commentary in the Eitz Chaim this morning? Tony did. Did anybody, do you remember what it said about this? On the spot. The Eitz Chaim gave away the first answer that I had about why God would bring tzara'at. You don't have to all peek right now, or unless anybody else see it. Said tzara'at comes on a house because the people are acting like their house is really their own. The Talmud teaches that people would ask to borrow a cup of sugar, a pot, a fan, I don't know, but not really a fan, but things from their homes, and Israelites weren't interested in sharing their objects with others. Tzara'at comes on their houses to say, if you think that everything that you have in this place is yours, I am going to actually make it more complicated. And the procedure for tzara'at, if you listened as Mark read, if tzara'at comes on your house, it's like, has anybody ever had somebody come to check out either mold or, God forbid, an infestation of ants or something in your house? It's not pleasant. Okay, there are, yes, I know that you have. It can be quite a process. If it goes well, it's a week. They scrub, they remove the stone that has the disease, and then they pray that everything's okay. They take all the stuff out of the house, everybody has to leave, they come back, no tzara'at returns, you're golden. But what do you think sometimes happened? It came back, and then they would have to take out the stones again. And then if it didn't fix itself after the third time, they would actually have to demolish the house. Start over from the foundation, brand new stones. Sounds like a major headache. So that seems to be a very clear punishment of sorts. And again, we don't know exactly why, but that's one suggestion. You don't lend things to other people, you wind up not getting to keep your own. Lovely. Anybody have another possible reason to explain why tzara'at comes on a house? There's no right answer here. I'll tell you, there's one that I don't love so much, but I'm specifically going to bring it because I don't love it. Nobody else? Okay. I'll tell you, Nachmanides makes a point to say that the Israelites, the tzara'at only came on the houses when they would get the land of Israel. People used to get tzara'at in the desert, but they didn't have houses. But the point is that it would only come on their houses when they were set up, presumably distant from the experience of feeling a present God. They're now doing their own farming, there's no more manna, there are no more miracles in the same way before. And so Nachmanides teaches, he's end of 12th, 13th century Spanish scholar, says that maybe tzara'at came on the houses to remind people that God is still with them. God still pays attention and cares about what they're doing, even when God is less present and imminent. So we might think that our actions only matter in specific particular moments, but no. God is still around and watching. This may or may not fit your theology, but this is Nachmanides' interpretation. Option 3, not intuitive to me at all. Rashi brings another midrash that teaches the following. God says there will be tzara'at because it's actually a good thing. How? When the Israelites enter the land of Israel, they are inheriting homes that were built by people that lived there before. What did they do when they realized a group of Israelites were coming to conquer the land? They hid their valuable possessions in the walls of their homes. When the Israelites come and they disinherit people that are living beforehand, when tzara'at came, they would actually have to break down the walls of their houses, and poof, they get valuables. Now, this interpretation bothers me on many levels. First, because it suggests a reward for dispossessing the people that were in the land. The rabbis do a lot of work to name that first the Israelites were supposed to call out for peace, and only after if they didn't make peace. But the story of the conquest of the land of Israel is difficult because there was loss of lives and possessions of other people. To me, this explanation kind of has a gotcha moment to it. It's celebrating what I would hope would have been a more humble process of inheriting the land. And yet, I share this explanation because I don't think it's healthy for us not to address interpretations that we don't love. I share it because I want to grapple with these things, and because I want to practice entering a mindset of people who don't necessarily think like I do. What were the beliefs and concerns of the authors of those midrashim? What were their assumptions about the other that I don't hold today? What can I find redemptive in that or any other interpretation? Whether tzara'at was a punishment or a statement of fact about God's presence in the world or a reward, it's completely up to each one of us to offer an interpretation. While there may be an ideal, objective presentation of the woman in Larson's cartoon, most of life doesn't get explained so quickly and simply. In fact, whether something happens by the hand of God and whether God is trying to say something specific, that none of us can claim to know. May we be blessed with the courage to explore and develop our convictions, and may we have the humility to hold them lightly, making room, building capacities to hear the perspective of the other, even or potentially especially when it challenges us. Shabbat Shalom.